Hello everybody, welcome back to ATCB. So we're doing these new overview videos for board games and card games and tabletop games of all kinds, where we're talking, I guess, in a little more detail than we usually do about the components of the game and some of the mechanics of the game, and then a little bit of a roundtable discussion as a kind of pseudo-review, I suppose. We don't usually do these, we normally do full playthroughs. There's a full playthrough of Theomachy on the channel, link below. Full disclosure before we start, because we are covering Theomachy, the Warrior Gods, for the first one. It was given to us free by Peterson Games, so thank you to Peterson Games for that, but you know, just so you know, full disclosure, etc. So Theomachy is basically a poker-alike, which is based on kind of warring gods, using different people in their congregations, which are these nice thick cardstock tokens, against each other. These function essentially as poker chips. So they're kind of what your score is and what your back and forth things through the game.
Yeah.
The gods you play are split into different pantheons, which my lovely assistant here will display to the camera.
So that's Slavic. Each of them have different abilities as well, don't they? So every single individual god has a different primary ability and a different way of getting experience.
Generating miracles, which are kind of like XP in the game.
That would be Cthulhu Deep ones.
Yeah. And then we've got the Nordic gods.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see, like the artwork and the presentation on like
it's really
these
nice.
is really nice.
Yeah.
It's very nice indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of that. So how roughly the game actually works is essentially you start out by drafting a deck from these prayer cards here. The prayer cards have a number of different elements to them. They have a kind of effect they do on there. They also have a kind of mana type or element type here that you have to have in your pool essentially to use them, as well as these which represent chaos or order orbs, which is just another kind of different split in how the mana works in the game.
Yeah.
Because it works via elements, but it also works by the orbs.
I kind of think of it like the element is the base you've got, and then the orbs are like the energy you're using.
The energy you're using or something like that. Yeah. These take the form of power cards, which are also in the prayer deck, which you can draft at the beginning. Once you've drafted and picked your god, you move on to the main part of the game, which is just hand after hand, as you would have in poker, where you draw cards from your deck, and then you have the constellation deck in the center, which is the equivalent in poker of, you know, if you're playing Texas Hold'em or whatever, of the flop with the turn and river and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So these are cards available to everyone for your mana casting. So it's an interesting take on poker in that you're not so much betting on the high score between your hand and the table as you are how much you can use your hand with what's on the table plus what's also in your hand as well, because you'll probably have some power cards in your hand.
Exactly. How powerful the hand you drafted is comparable. So if you drafted a hand of, say, water cards primarily, then and you get one like down like that, well, there's a decent amount of water in there. You might want to bet off that.
You might want to bet off that.
But if you've drafted a hand of, I don't know, air, which are those ones, that comes down, you probably want to fold. Or you could bluff it.
Or you could try and bluff it.
Exactly. That's effectively what the idea is.
That's effectively how the game is, and the betting works very like poker if you're familiar with that. So I mean, if you're not, then I'm not going to explain poker to you, damn it. But that's essentially it. You earn, as we mentioned earlier, the XP alike, which are miracles. You earn them and cash them in for myth cards, which are again very pretty and have a kind of... They usually have a permanent effect on the game, although some of them are kind of use once and destroy sort of things. And they all have this kind of flavour of their relevant deities to them. You know, you've got the Slavic deck here that has Kupala Knight, a statue of Svetovid, sorry if I'm massacring that, Baba Yaga, and so on and so forth. Other than that, there's some optional modules to bolt onto the game if you want, in terms of a reward deck, which just kind of changes what you get for winning each hand, and these specialised priest and prophet things, which we can wave at the camera because they're quite nice. You get specified tokens for as well. I mean, that's
nice token.
That's kind of it as far as the rules go. Obviously, there's more nuance to them than that. but we don't want to kind of go into full detail in these videos because we don't want to do a rules explanation thing. You know, that's not what we do. So so that's kind of a rough overview of the game. So we'll sit down now and have a little bit of a round table on what we actually think of it, some of the pluses, some of the minuses, and whether we'd recommend it.
Yeah.
So here we are in the round table studio, which is totally a different place. It looks identical.
Would just like to point out the problem. Our table is rectangular.
Oh.
Is that a problem? Oh, because there's three of us today.
So
right.
it's a round table
map.
Oh, I see.
We spent millions making this place look identical.
Look identical.
Even to the marks on the wall, you know.
But there we go. Okay, so let's go through this in a semi-rational order.
Okay.
Sam,
yes,
give us your positive take. If you had to do a bullet point list, right, of positives for Theomachy.
That is sensible because I was probably the most
positive. Yeah, that's what I figured.
My biggest plus, yes, I like this game, is I really like the idea. I like because I think poker's a great concept. Obviously, it's massively popular and run through the ages and everything. The idea of having a system where you get kind of elements and resources put down, and you bet based on how good your hand is. And then that's just based on a battle after that, how good your hand is for that battle. That's a really, really cool mechanic. I think that's really clever and I really, really like it. And that the theme on top of that is just amazing, your followers and everything and the way you're gambling them. I really, really think that's a good idea. I also actually think that all the effects and the cards, on most of the power cards you get, they actually seem really cool and they do really clever things, like taking from other people or allowing you to see certain things. I really like those powers. And I think you can actually build, the deck building at the beginning is really fun. It's genuinely very interesting and actually quite engaging. And the more you play the game, the more of a handle you get on it and the more satisfying that is as well.
Yeah.
I think, I actually really look forward to deck building in this game now. Now I understand the game anyway.
It's worth noting, as we talk through these positives, that this is going to be a lot more of a positive little round table than we thought we were going to have. Earlier today, before we played our third game of this, which was the recorded game, luckily. I just wanted to put that out there.
We weren't so positive with any of our first games.
It's a grower. I think that's a positive.
Definitely.
It's definitely a grower. I mean, depending on how many times you're looking to get the game to the table, that's a positive or a negative.
It's not excellent in first play.
No.
Anyway, I'll go on to someone else for that.
Another positive, I would say, we've already mentioned the video, but the production value is excellent.
It's gorgeous,
It's a very good-looking game. John, some negatives.
The main negative for me is that it just goes on too long. The box is, 30 to 60 minutes?
30 to 60 minutes.
That is
a filthy lie.
It's at least double that.
At least.
We've played both. I don't know about our first game.
We played 3 games.
Yeah.
Our first game was just a 2-player, and that did end.
You
won.
After way too long.
After about an hour.
Even though it was a shutout.
Yeah, even though it was a shutout.
Yeah.
We'll get on to that kind of issue in a minute. That ended after about an hour.
Yeah.
The second game we played, we literally just stopped playing.
We didn't end.
Yeah.
Because we
after 2 hours.
After 2 hours, we just stopped playing. The third game, which is the recorded playthrough, link below, spam. We had to make what we think is a homebrew rule.
This ran out.
That ran
the draw deck, basically.
I have a vague sensation that is somewhere in the rules that I can't find, which it may be. It's fine. But yeah, we had to basically come up with a homebrew rule to end the game because it just felt like it was going to go on.
It's not like we were taking ages to do
No, we didn't play
particularly. It's just there's so many opportunities to come back.
Yeah.
Which kind of balances out, I guess, the fact that there's no way of targeting anyone. Which means that someone could potentially, as you did in the first game we played, run away with it.
Well, John targeted me the entire game.
It's
small. It is relative.
It's a grudge.
Yeah. So
we're going to get over it.
And that leads into the biggest flaw of the game for me, which is the balance.
Yeah.
Lots of the gods feel underpowered or overpowered compared to each other. The game is at least semi-built on a drafting mechanic, which always means you've got a certain random nature to how you start out in the game. I will look through a fair bunch of the prayer cards and go, why does this cost this much? it should cost more or it should cost less.
And
Yeah.
sometimes just, why does this card exist?
And half, there's
Yeah.
probably about a quarter of the cards of the game, so I'm never going to use
So,
that. It's not
I
useful.
think we said after we played the second time, it feels like a game that should have been either play tested more or play tested by people who weren't the designers more, who didn't know the ins and outs of the game and little tricks quite as much. So it does feel unbalanced to me. It's got a length problem and it's got a runaway problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of games have that, and the thing is, this counters it with a comeback problem.
Yeah.
Like a further
It does.
problem.
'Cause it's actually really hard to kill something.
So yeah, and I would say it feels a little bit like they've taken poker, kept the flaws of poker, and added more flaws while ignoring some of the strengths. For me,
it does add some
because it
interesting
removes some
bits.
of the bluff game, and that's what I like about poker.
That is one of the big problems I have with it.
That's
It
personal.
removes bluffing, which is
Yeah.
kind of like, that's a
It
bit...
doesn't entirely remove it, but it's certainly less
Because of the
important.
because of the nature of the drafting mechanic, you have a deck that is relatively similar, and everyone
Yes.
sees all the cards you get. So fundamentally, people overall know what you have. You can't really go, I have red cards. Like, we know you have red cards. You haven't taken a single red card this whole game.
To a certain degree.
So-
I would also say the bluffing is less important as well because everything kind of resides in what you have in your hand. Like, you can kind of predict, based on what's out on the table, if it's like all of manner of one person, you know they've been playing a lot of cards like that, then I guess, but it's mixed so much of the time, and frankly, I don't have enough in my head to keep a hold of what other people might have, so like, I just didn't really consider that. I just considered, well, what's the strength of my own hand?
Yeah, and that's
To a
what it's
certain
based on.
degree, that's actually how you play poker as well, but still. Would we... Who is this game for?
I think this game is for people who want a game, for people who are pretty gamey, maybe enjoy a game like Magic, and also enjoy poker. Probably, like, they're not like... They have played poker and enjoy it, but aren't super into poker sort of thing. And they're kind of like, this is kind of a combination of those two, and people who want to do that get quite into a game and actually kind of develop a meta game and play it with the same sort of people quite a lot. I think this game is excellent for that.
I mean, there's a certain deck building aspect to it as
Yeah,
well.
the deck building's fun.
The drafting doesn't end at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
No. It continues throughout the game to a certain degree. So I would say this is for... I think you're right. I think if you're a hardcore poker player, this is not for you.
No, not hardcore poker player.
If you're into the bluffing aspect of poker primarily, this is not for you.
Yeah, nope.
Or if you're into the mathematics element of poker, this is not for you.
Not really, no.
In a way, you're right. This is a poker for non-poker players, but I would say I think it's weirdly falls, even though a lot of the components, it just doesn't look or give over the sense of that game. I think this falls on the hardcore end, on the more hardcore end of the tabletop player.
Definitely more hardcore.
I would say stop thinking of this as... I mean, the mechanics are similar to poker, but the people who I would recommend it to are not people who play poker. It would be people who want to play, like, Magic the Gathering, which will go on for ages and will introduce a little bit of, well, I've got a really good hand sort of thing.
It's,
like,
it's Magic the Gathering crossed with Dominion.
Yeah, there's a bit of Dominion there. The whole betting element is different from those. That's the thing that's separate.
Sure,
but again, it's a poker style, but it's actually not like poker at all.
Okay, if it's hard to knock people out, then the betting doesn't actually merit much. It's just a way of like ramping up the tension.
Fair
And
enough,
as
fair enough.
Magic with the ability to ramp up the tension, it's a good...
It does do that pretty well.
It does. I'm definitely more down on this game than these guys. I would say it's got some... I don't think the betting matters
Yeah.
because of the comeback mechanism.
Yeah,
I agree.
So it's you kind of in and out.
And because you don't
It's an
win the bet.
artificial tension,
You don't win the
but-
bet, so...
I'd almost be tempted to switch the game to like some kind of life mechanic or something like that, but I don't know.
Let's just say
it kind of is.
it's also the sort of game that really promotes home brews. Like you look
Yeah,
at it, you go,
yeah.
I want to change that rule. I want to mess around with these components. I really like the basic set.
Yeah.
But like, there's some things I'm just like, I just disagree with that rule, and I
Yeah.
want to fiddle with it. So also for people like that, it's actually a really interesting concept.
It is,
But haven't
because
played
there's
with
some
it,
nice
maybe.
ideas, but a little bit wonkily executed.
Yeah, and
so,
a little bit of balance. So
and
you
in
can
many
fix
ways,
that.
that's quite nice for some
Yeah.
people to dive in there. It's definitely a kind of... Well, it's not a diamond in the rough. It's not, I wouldn't even say it's like a hidden gem. I'm more down on this
Pretty rock.
because ultimately we came to the conclusion like I'd rather play poker,
Yeah.
and you guys would rather play this.
Yes.
So
It
I
depends
mean
on
that's
the
fair.
mood.
But I'm more of a poker player than you guys. But yeah, so I guess ATCB would recommend this game for people who want a game with elements of poker that's got a bit more of a nerdy setting to it. And obviously, as with any game, if the high concept appeals to you of this Theomachy war between the gods thing, that's going to help you.
Yeah. Because there's other gods you can buy too, aren't there? Not just this set.
But yeah,
there's the ancient
ones.
gods.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it gets an overall stamp from 2 to 1. I would honestly struggle to recommend this.
I would only recommend it to a certain set of people, probably not most people.
I want to clarify. I would recommend it to certain people.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't want to play it that often.
See, I think I'm the only person here who would actually want to play this more. I genuinely would be up for another game now.
Sam's
I quite like it.
If I were with someone who I think would really enjoy it, then I'll play it with them.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to play it with new people at all. I just don't want to do that.
It's weird. Okay, here we go. I would recommend this for a group of players who are into the concept, who want to have a poker-alike game, but who don't want to play poker.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it, and here we go, for a table full of quite hardcore, not hardcore, not like ultra nerd, but like hardcore tabletop players who don't want to play a hardcore game at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a game best played quite casually, but I think the nuance of it and the way it interacts and rebounds makes it fall on the hardcore player end of preference.
Feel like that,
Or I don't know, hardcore players don't like luck. Randomness.
It's not. I don't think it's too bad for that.
I don't know.
Anyway, we can ramble on.
So that's our very coherent opinion on Theomachy.
Now you know exactly whether you want it or not. I'm sure.
It has a recommended retail price of about £30, which I had to look up because, as I said at the beginning, we were sent this gratis. Theomachy, the Warrior Gods.
I think that's.
I think that's about it. There's a companion set called the Ancients. I don't know if I mentioned that in this video. That mixes and matches with this, as far as I'm aware. Let us know what you think of Theomachy. Let us know what you think of poker. Let us know what you think of these videos, because we're hopefully going to be doing a lot more of them, whether you like the kind of presentation of them, a bit of an overview, a bit of a roundtable discussion.
Should we do more?
An even longer version of this as well, the Epic game.
There is an Epic game,
game.
I'm never playing that.
I just played this game and thought, you know what I want? I want this to be longer. I want this to be much longer.
No. Although weirdly that has victory points, and I can't help but feel that maybe that would make it shorter. I don't know. Maybe it was somewhere in which we were playing. But if you want to check out the full playthrough video of this, it's probably split into a couple of episodes, but it'll be linked in the video.
It wasn't 30 minutes.
It was not 30 minutes. It'll be linked in the video description below. Like I say, feedback welcome, likes, dislikes, comments, subscriptions. It's all good stuff. And we'll see you next time for another one of these, probably, maybe, unless everyone hates them.
Yes, all the dislikes.
Yeah.
Don't do that, please.
Don't do that. Bye.
Bye.